everybody, I'm Laura Trump coming to you from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. It's no surprise that the Democrats take a lot of voters for granted. Yet the booming economy and the president's outspoken support for freedom is already drawing large groups of new voters his way. Joining me to discuss the expanding Trump coalition is the founder of Turning Point USA, my friend Charlie Kirk. Charlie, welcome in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Always have to tell you, love what you're doing with Turning Point. I talk about you every chance I get.
I appreciate that.
I think it's so important. Thanks for being here today.
Of course, yeah.
So much to always talk about, but a recent Zogby poll found that groups who'd been leaning against the president are now actually embracing him, including millennials and independents. What do you say about that?
Well, I see it happening on the ground on college campuses all across the country. And this Zogby poll actually said that 51% of millennials have a positive view of President Trump.
Imagine that. That's amazing.
It's completely different than anything the media might tell you. This just goes to show that the economy, the peace abroad that President Trump has been able to broker, the results, the revitalization of the American spirit is having real resonance with our generation. And, you know, I like to think that there's an intentional disinformation campaign done by the media and by the Democrat Party.
100%.
However, you can't slander, you can't propagandize results. And this president, whether it be the lowest ever black unemployment, Latino unemployment, Asian unemployment, the best economy in American history, and now you look at millennials, I could say, wait a second, I'm told I'm supposed to hate this guy. I'm told I'm supposed to dislike this president, but I have a high-paying job now.
Right.
I'm actually more financially stable than I ever have been. I could pay off my student loan debt. I can have prosperity even when I didn't think I would under the Obama years. Maybe I don't dislike him as much as people are trying to tell me. Maybe I actually like him.
Yeah, well, and when you look at the people that are going to be graduating from college or are currently in college and thinking about their future, the fact that there are so many possible job prospects for them out there, I mean, I would say that that's a pretty important factor in 2020 as they're going to the voting booth. Because I know when I graduated from college in 2005, it was really tough to find a job. That must be a big deal.
That was the norm for decades, that young people had to work a couple minimum wage jobs just to try to get by. Now we have more job openings in our economy than we have people to fill them.
Yeah,
and
it's a good problem to have.
You know, one of the Democrats running for office, I think he's a mayor or something like that, he says that he's the turnaround candidate. What exactly do you want to turn around? But you know, these politicians, they find into using these cliches and these one-liners because there was something to turn around for the last 40 years. Now this, for the first time in modern American history, there's something to keep the same.
Right.
We actually, under Obama, we had to turn things around. Under Bush, you had to turn things around. Under Clinton, the other Bush. Maybe back to Reagan was one of the few times we actually had a period of prosperity. Now, for the first time, a president can actually say, you know what? Things are so good, let's keep them going. And that's because of tax cuts. That's because of deregulation. That's because of believing in American manufacturing. That's because of renegotiating trade deals. And honestly, it's a new spirit. A lot of business is done on optimism and confidence. And they know they have an ally and a friend in the White House that they can invest and create jobs. And that's why you're seeing the best economy in American history.
Well, it's true, but it's actually a great point that you're making, because I always say this. I'm saying, what are these Democrats running on? To your point, how are you going to run against all the great things that this president has done? And what is it that you think you want to change so drastically when it's working for the people of this country?
Right. You want to raise people's taxes. You want to take more of their money. This president has accomplished results on every front, despite the targeted disinformation campaign with our tax dollars, I think, at times, via the Mueller report, and the disinformation campaign of the media, which has become nothing more than a propaganda arm of the Democrat Party. And so here's what's so exciting, though, is despite all of this, and despite the people trying to destabilize this presidency, both within our government and within the media, the president is succeeding.
I know.
And people's lives are better. And you know what, when we were on the campaign back in 2016 and we were in the transition, we believed in this president, what he could do, but we were really running on what we can do. Now the president can run on what has been done, can run on results and continuing those results. And you know what's so frustrating is this president has an America First agenda that really is not finished, but it's the Democrats that are getting in the way of that, because there's still things that need to get done. We need an infrastructure plan, right? We need to get immigration fixed. And the president has put forth proposals to fix these things. But you look at what he's already done on issues that politicians have refused to even tackle.
Yeah, ignored for years.
VA, prison reform, right to try, the tax cut, repeal the individual mandate, opening up Anwar, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, 100 plus circuit court judges. My goodness, it makes you think what these other guys have been doing the last 40 years.
Well, nothing, apparently, and a whole lot of nothing. So you've been to Trump rallies before. Very exciting. Love going to a Trump rally. Now, Democrats and low propensity voters make up a very large group of people that show up to Trump rallies on a regular basis. What do you read into this? What do you make out of that?
You know, I went to a Trump rally the day before the election in New Hampshire. I think we were both there up in New Hampshire. And then the president took, the then candidate, businessman Trump, took that late flight to Michigan and did that.
The 1 a.m. rally,
It's kind of that historic last rally. I had actually not gone to a Trump rally until this last one in Green Bay recently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just for whatever reason, scheduling and thing. I learned a lot going there. And what I saw and I observed is, and this gets no love in the press, the president just doesn't go to get applause for what he's doing. He goes to listen to what actually is resonating with his base. He throws things out. He watches the audience. He is getting just as much out of it as the people there.
That's right.
He is directly responsive. It's almost like going to a shareholder meeting. Because we the taxpayers, we the American citizens are the fiduciaries of our country. And so he as the CEO, he as the businessman, he as the president goes and says, hey, what do you think about these trade deals? They love it. You know, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And he's reading and he's watching. You know what I saw at these Trump rallies? I go to concerts, I go to football games, I go to baseball games. Everyone's always on their phones. They're always texting. People are focused.
Oh, you're right.
People aren't tweeting.
Yes.
They're not doing this. They might, take a picture here and there, but this is why they're there. They're focused.
They're really engaged.
And it's as if they want to participate directly in the democratic process. The final thing I'll say is this about the rallies, is that I saw firsthand, I had more confidence in our system of elections than ever before because these people believe that he is their vessel to retake their government away from the elites.
Yes.
And we have not had that since maybe Reagan, and I don't think we had it even before that for a long, long time, that we can then retake our government back towards America First policies in a very constructive, positive way. So anyway, I love the rallies. I think there's a lot of depth behind them.
And if you haven't been to a Trump rally, you got to go.
Oh, my goodness.
They're the greatest.
They're exciting and they're fun. And your campaign team does such a brilliant job executing them. It's not easy. I mean, these things are like putting out a Rolling Stones concert.
It really is.
Every other day.
It's like a full concert. I know.
And you know what's really interesting is that the Democrats running for president, almost every single one of them, their biggest event is their campaign launch. And then they get smaller events after that. President Trump's the first candidate in American history where his smallest event was his campaign launch and only got bigger from there.
That's true.
That's the sign of a movement, not AstroTurf or artificial Big Bang, and it decreases from there.
No, you're right. I never thought of it that way. Now, we know that Democrats love to play identity politics. They traditionally make promises to various groups and then never deliver. They really take youth and other groups for granted, as far as I've been able to tell. Do you think the economy, how good it is for everybody, how well it's working for people in this country, really creates an opportunity for genuine political realignment in this country? Absolutely, yes.
And the economy is multifold because for the first time we're actually seeing wages go up.
Yeah.
And the Democrats might, it's only the economy's only working for the wealthy and the elite. Well, that's actually just not true.
Right.
Well, first of all, when the stock market increases, who owns stocks? People that have pensions, middle income earners, 401ks, teachers, firefighters, police officers. So when the stock market goes up in value, middle income pensioners are seeing their wealth expand also. So let's just dispel that myth. But also, wages are going up. And let's actually talk about the tax cut bill because it's getting demagogued so much. I see Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris. They're demagogue. They're specialized in demagoguery. The tax cut was focused on middle income earners. It was the largest middle class tax cut in American history, whether it be the single mother tax credit, whether it be the middle income earners tax credit, the repeal of the individual mandate. The repeal of the individual mandate was a tax. The individual mandate was a tax on my generation.
Yeah.
It was a tax on millennials, saying if you can't afford something, you still have to buy it. Repealing that, and so we can now go back to Middle America, the people that put this president in the Oval Office, and go to millennials and say, is your life better today than it was the day before he got inaugurated? And even more importantly, is America in a better place? And objectively, every single metric is stronger today than it was the day before he got inaugurated.
Yeah, I always say that too. Now, I did point out at the beginning of our interview, you do so much work on college campuses.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, there is a strong suppression of free speech on college campuses,
Absolutely.
especially when it comes to conservative ideas. It's becoming a real danger. The good news, Charlie, is that the president is taking action. Let's take a look at this.
These courageous Americans have stood up for the forces of political indoctrinations, and they really stood up to it too, like very few people have been able to. Censorship and coercion. You refuse to be silenced by powerful institutions and closed-minded critics, of which there are many. You face down intimidation, pressure, and abuse. You did it because you love your country and you believe in truth, justice, and freedom. And I want to thank you all, everybody in the room, including a lot of folks in the audience, Charlie, a lot of folks.
All right, a special shout out from the president there. Now, free speech is under attack on social media too. How important is this fight for 2020, for our future? This seems incredibly important.
It's critical. And look, the president is an absolute hero for doing what he did to sign the free speech executive order. Presidents in past, Republican presidents, have talked a good game on the college campus landscape. President Trump has done something about it. College campuses have become islands of totalitarianism, that if you dare support an opinion that is different than the leftist monolith, that you can get suppressed, graded differently, kicked off campus, isolated, you name it. The president took a definitive stand to said very simply through his executive order, if you suppress a student's First Amendment rights, any First Amendment rights, liberal, conservative, you could potentially have your federal funding pulled. And we've seen such a groundswell difference on college campuses because of this executive order. And the social media thing is huge as well. The president has been courageous in this fight, because if the left is able to pick and choose which voices we want to hear from, then all of a sudden social media will look like college campuses. We don't want that. Where all of a sudden it's just all leftists, 90% leftists. And the double standard on social media is so troubling. And whether it be Facebook throttling down sometimes the Trump campaign, I know Brad talked about that at times, and the fight that has to go through. The president just tweeted, which is really the great irony, he criticizes Twitter on Twitter, which I think is one of the great.
Only our president could do that.
Only Trump could do that. The president could do that. But this is a really big fight. We have to keep shining a light on how, if we're honest with ourselves, the Silicon Valley elites, almost none of them agree with us. Why should we give 5,000 people who hate us all this power? That's all it is. It's 5,000 people that control 330 million people. This is a huge fight. I'm glad the president is leading on it.
Yeah. Well, and also you think about the fact that this is unprecedented territory in this country. We are all learning alongside social media what it means, how it impacts our lives. We see that it has a huge impact on our lives. So I give the president a lot of credit. I give you a lot of credit for standing up. And it's not easy. It's not easy when you go against the mainstream grain. We always love having you on, hearing from you. Keep doing the great work out there, fighting the good fight, and we will fight alongside you. As the booming Trump economy continues to grow, more and more Americans that the Democrats take for granted are ready to join the expanding Trump coalition. That's the real news for today. I'm Laura Trump from Studio 45 at Trump Tower in New York City. Thanks for joining us, everybody.